This is also something I have experienced 3 years ago. In April, we had just finished our spring migration with the reindeer herd. During that, 7 calves were left behind, so I drove around and picked them up so that I could bring them home to feed them. I caught them all, put them on a sled, and drove home. At home, I went down to the river's edge, where my great-grandparents used to have a house. There we had a big fence where the reindeer would be for the next couple of weeks until they got their strength back. Each day, I would visit them 3 times, in the morning, in the afternoon, and right before midnight. To get to them, I had to walk past the old foundation of the house. Before walking past 2 old sheds, I would have my dog with me every time, so I had a companion with me there. But one time when I was walking down the hill to the reindeer, I have heard plenty of ghost stories about the riverside, and my dumb brain decided to start thinking about those stories. Right as I was walking towards the house and the reindeer, then suddenly, I felt a cold chill running through my body. It wasn't cold, since the weather was quite nice and warm. I stopped for a moment to listen. Each time I get a chill down my spine at night, I will stop and listen, to try and listen for any noise, but there was nothing there. I only took a couple of steps before my dog also froze up. He was looking towards the shacks, with his tail held high and ears standing up. I didn't think about it, since there are a bunch of hares that could be seen running around. I continued walking towards the shacks, but my dog, who is usually always in front of me, sniffing around, was walking right beside me. Almost behind me, there were 2 old shacks that I would have to walk between to reach the fence. Right as I was between them, the door suddenly moved on the older shack. I jumped and ran back to the road. I was a bit creeped out but realized that it was just the wind that had blown the door to make it move. I calmed down and walked past the shack. When I arrived at the fence, I was a bit weirded out. Usually, I would go down to them at 23.30, and they would always be resting, waiting for food. But this time they were all standing and looking towards the small river that went by, tails held up and stomping the ground. Something was worrying them. We stood there, me, the dog, and all of the reindeer, just looking towards the river, but there was nothing there. Not a hare, a fox, nothing. Minutes went by, and the eerie feeling in my body went away. The reindeer and the dog had also calmed down, so I started spreading the feed on the ground, making sure everyone got the same amount. But then all of a sudden, all of the reindeer lifted their tail again and started looking towards the river. I tried putting on the light, but the flashlight wouldn't work. Then I saw it. On the dark winter night, someone was walking along the riverside. The person had a Ʇᴜြ on him, which is a big coat made from reindeer fur. He was walking towards the forest, but the thing was that there wasn't a trail or a road he could walk on, only untouched snow. But as soon as he had appeared, he disappeared too. The reindeer also calmed down as soon as the shadow was gone. I stood there for quite some time, trying to figure out what I saw. An hour went by, so I decided to head back home. The next morning I went back. This time I wanted to figure out what it was, so I walked to the river edge, to the same spot where I had seen the person. No tracks. There was not a single footprint or anything. It also hadn't been snowing the whole night, so the tracks couldn't have disappeared. I just thought to myself, the stories are true. This place is haunted.